Hello, enthusiastic learners. Today we're going to be learning how to multiply mixed numbers by fractions and also multiply mixed numbers by mixed numbers as well. I'm assuming by now you've already learned how to multiply fractions by fractions. It's one of the easiest operations that you can do with fractions because you don't have to change those denominators to make them like denominators. So in this case, you're going to multiply straight across, multiplying your numerator by numerator, giving you 2 times 2 equals 4. And then you're going to multiply your denominator by denominator, giving you 5 times 3 equals 15. In this case, you're ending up with a fraction 4/15 as your answer. Another skill we must review before moving forward is converting improper fractions to mixed numbers and mixed numbers to improper fractions. One thing I absolutely love about fractions is how every little skill that you learn builds upon the others so that as you're learning more advanced skills, you're constantly getting a review of what you've already learned. In this case, I have the improper fraction 8/5 and I want to change it to a mixed number. So in order to do that, I'm just going to complete the division problem. Here, if I'm looking at this problem, I have a division problem. It is 8 divided by 5. Now, when I solve that, I'm going to be able to get one group of 5 out of 8, giving me a remainder of 3. The 3 is my new numerator, and the 5 remains my denominator, giving me a mixed number of 1 3/5. Now we're going to be converting a mixed number to an improper fraction. As we were using division before, we're going to be using multiplication. So every fraction tells you a story. In this case, we have the fraction 2/7. The 7, the denominator, tells us how many pieces we need to make a whole. In this fraction, we need 7 pieces to make a whole. We also have 3 wholes. So we want to find out how many pieces are contained in those wholes. And we can do that by multiplying our whole number by our denominator. That gives us 21. Now the numerator tells us how many pieces we have, so we need to add those 2 pieces to the 21 that we have in our whole, and that gives us a numerator of 23. Our denominator is going to stay the same because, of course, it's not changing the number of pieces we need to make a whole. And we can find that our new fraction is 23/7, our improper fraction. When working with a new fraction skill, I always encourage you to draw on what you know, because even if you feel like you're a little bit lost, usually you can find your way through because you have an understanding of how fractions work. And in this case, I'm looking at the problem 2 1/5 and multiplying it by 2/7. Now I'd feel more comfortable if 2 1/5 was a fraction, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change it to what I know. I'm going to change 2 1/5 to an improper fraction. I'm going to multiply 2 times 5, which gives me 10, add the 1 back in, giving me 11, and that gives me a fraction of 11/5. Now when I put that back into my problem, I can now multiply 11/5 by 2/7 just by multiplying straight across. Again, doing what I know. 11 times 2 is 22, and 5 times 7 is 35, giving me a new fraction of 22/35. There I have my answer, taking what I already know and just applying it in this new skill. Here I am with a new problem. This time I have 2 mixed numbers that I'm multiplying by each other. All I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm going to be changing my mixed numbers to improper fractions. So I can do that by taking 3 2/5 and I'm changing it into an improper fraction by multiplying 3 times 5, giving me 15, plus 2, which is giving me 17, and then my denominator stays the same. My second problem, I'm going to be changing 2 1/4 to an improper fraction by multiplying 2 times 4 plus 1, giving me 9, and my denominator stays the same. And then I'm going to multiply across. So then I would have to, I'm going to actually have to do a little bit of math. I'm going to be multiplying 17 times 9, which is going to give me 153. And I multiply my denominators, 5 times 4, which is going to give me a denominator of 20. Now that I've moved that out of the way, I can go ahead and change this very large improper fraction back to a mixed number. And I'm going to have to do that by dividing. So if I took 153 and I'm going to divide it by 20, I will find that I will get 7 wholes, which gives me 140 pieces, giving me a remainder of 13. So my new mixed number would be 7 and 13/20, giving me my answer, 7 and 13/20. Here I'm going to ask you to do one on your own, so I would like for you to pause the video, take some time, solve the problem, and when you think you have it correct, unpause the video and see if you got the correct answer. Good luck! Okay, let's see how you did. First thing you're going to do is we're going to change 2 1/3 to the improper fraction of 7/3. And then we're going to change 1 1/2 to the improper fraction of 3/2. And we are going to multiply. Now, one thing that I would like you to consider is cross-canceling. So if I look, and I draw this line over here, I can see that 3 is a factor of both 3 and 3. And if I cross-cancel and take that factor out by dividing both of them that way, I can then make this an easier problem. It just reduces the amount of simplifying that I have to do at the end. If I look at this pair, 7 and 2, there are no common factors, so there's nothing I can take out. So now my new fractions that I'm multiplying is 7/1 times 1/2, and that's going to give me the answer of 7/2, which can be changed to the mixed number of 3 and 1/2. Now, say I didn't cross cancel and I just went by multiplying 7/3 by 3/2. I'm going to get 21/6. And when I change that into a mixed number, I'm going to get 3 and 3/6. Now, normally what I would do is I would end up looking at this fraction and simplifying it, which would give me 3 and 1/2. It's the same answer. It's just by cross-canceling, then I can actually go to the smaller number or lower terms right away or more quickly and dealing with smaller numbers. However, if you're not comfortable with cross-canceling, then I don't encourage you to do it. Go ahead and we're going to try another problem. Welcome back. Now we're going to solve this problem by changing 5 1/4 to the improper fraction of 21/4 and then changing 5 1/7 to the improper fraction of 36/7. I'm going to actually solve this two ways. First of all, I'm going to solve it using cross-cancellation, and then I'm going to solve it without cross-canceling. So in this case, if I were to look, I would have to look at the opposites, and I'm going to try to find a common factor between 4 and 36. The greatest common factor I can find between those two is 4, and if I divide 4 by 4, I'm going to get 1, and if I divide 36 by 4, I'm going to get 9. Then I want to look at the other pair, 21 and 7, and I want to find a factor I can cancel out of there. The greatest common factor that those two have is 7 again. So if I divide 7 by 7, I get 1. And if I divide 21 by 7, I get 3. I am now looking at multiplying two completely new fractions. Here I'm going to rewrite it so it's clear. I have 3/1 times 9/1. And if I multiply, I'm going to get 27/1. And when you simplify that, that just leaves you with a whole number of 27 without any real simplifying left to do. When I multiply 21 by 36, I'm going to get a rather large number of 756. And when I multiply 4 times 7, I'm going to get 28, giving me the improper fraction of 756/28. Now, in order to change that into a mixed number and or simplify, I would then have to divide 756 divided by 28. Now, as we know, we already know what that answer is going to be, but I would have to solve, and I'm going to get the same answer that I had before of 27. It just requires a little bit more work. So if you didn't quite get the cross canceling, that's okay. You would still get the answer. You just have to be willing to do the work and division and multiplication that is necessary to go along with the problem. All right. Let's review. First of all, when solving problems, multiplying mixed numbers by fractions, we want to make sure that we change the mixed numbers to improper fractions. Second, we want to cross-cancel if possible, but only if you're comfortable with that. Third, multiply across like you normally would. And finally, you're going to simplify your answer if possible. Hopefully today you learned how to multiply mixed numbers and fractions. See you next time.